That was creepy. Now, from the moment I'd found out I was pregnant, David had started acting weird. He'd become distant and quiet, spending long hours in his study, which had always been locked. At first, I'd assumed the best. I was carrying our child in my belly. Of course, he was going to want to prepare himself. But then I started finding things. The first time I walked into his study and saw a framed photograph of a woman I didn't recognize, I asked him about it. But he just looked startled, dropped his fork, and quickly excused himself to go to the bathroom. Since then, he shut the door to his study whenever I came near. No matter how many times I asked, he refused to tell me why. Then came the nightmares. Vivid dreams of running through dark, unfamiliar streets, always being chased by faceless figures. They seemed real, so real. And when I woke up, my sheets were always soaked with sweat. That's when I started noticing the tea. Every morning, I'd wake up and find this steaming mug on my nightstand. Beside it, a note written in David's familiar handwriting saying, "Drink this, it will help." I never did. Until one day I couldn't take it anymore. I confronted him. "What is this about?" I demanded, holding up the mug. David visibly paled. "Nothing," he whispered, rushing over to grab it. I just thought you should have something warm before you go. Why do you leave these every morning?" I don't, he shook his head frantically. "This isn't me. Whoever's doing this, it's not me." Who isn't you?" David swallowed hard and averted his gaze. "No one. Please, just forget about it." His reaction confused me. Was he hiding something? Had someone really been sneaking into our house to leave me cryptic messages via herbal tea? But then I noticed something else. There was a faint but unmistakable smell clinging to those notes. The same smell I associated with David. I sniffed them again. This wasn't the musky cologne he usually wore. This was his actual scent, like the way he smelled in bed after a long day. As if he'd been trying to cover up his own smell with cologne. Why? Suddenly, everything clicked into place. It all made horrific sense. He was the one slipping these notes into my tea. He was the one drugging me. I tried to recall what I remembered from medical school. How many pills would knock someone out? I had no idea. All I knew was that I had to get away from this house. I had to get away from David. I stumbled out of bed and raced toward the front door. But I hadn't taken 3 steps when David appeared in the doorway. His eyes were wide and scared. "Where are you going?" He whispered. I need air." I tried to push past him, but he grabbed my arm. "No, you don't." He sounded so cold, so emotionless. It was like hearing a complete stranger speak. "David, let me go." "No." He tightened his grip on my arm, digging his nails into my skin. "Don't pretend you don't know what's happening. You know why I'm doing this." I struggled against him, but he was surprisingly strong. He dragged me back to bed. "You're not going anywhere." On the nightstand, the untouched cup of tea steamed ominously. David sank to the edge of the bed, burying his face in his hands. When he finally looked up at me, his eyes were filled with an emotion I couldn't quite decipher. Was it remorse, fear, or resignation? "I'm sorry," he whispered. "I have to protect myself." "Protect yourself?" I echoed, confused. "But we have a baby on the way." David closed his eyes as if in pain. "Do you really think I wanted this?" he said, his voice cracking. "Do you really think I wanted any of this?" 1,000 questions pounded in my head, but all I could manage to say was, "What do you mean?" David took a deep breath and slowly began to tell me a story. A story that shattered everything I thought I knew about him, about us, and about the life I was about to bring a child into. As he spoke, I pieced together fragments of his past, of his marriage, of our child, my child, his child. And with each revelation, my horror grew. David's past was a labyrinth of deceit and shadows, and I was only beginning to see the darkness that had been lurking at our doorstep all along. The more he revealed, the more my own reflection seemed like a stranger staring back at me from the depths of his despairing eyes. I saw fear, but beneath that, something else flickered, a spark of what I once loved. A desperate plea for me to understand, but understanding wouldn't bring back what we lost. And what we lost, oh God, what we lost was immeasurable.